for you this lesson from Unity of the Keys Spiritual Center. We breathe in for a moment and center ourselves in right here and the right now, releasing any busyness, not concerned with what we have to do next. So we come into this space now together, just grounded where we are. For we're not gathering today to simply hear words. We're here to remember what has always lived within us. We gather to reconnect with that quiet inner wisdom that so often gets drowned out by the noise of our daily lives, by our busy, busy worlds. We gather to remember who we truly are. And we gather in this safe space with loving souls who recognize that about us and that we recognize that about them. So there's an old story about a wise elderly woman who lived at the edge of a village by a quiet stream. Now, she met many strangers making their way on their individual journeys. So on one of these days, a traveler stopped for a drink from the stream, as travelers often did. The woman approached, smiling, and asked him where he was heading. "I don't know," the traveler admitted. "I'm looking for a place where people are kind." The woman paused for a moment and then asked, "Tell me, what were the people like from the village that you just left?" And the traveler frowned and he said they were selfish. They judged everyone. They complained. No one could be trusted. The woman nodded. "I'm afraid you'll find the people here much the same." A little while later, another traveler stopped for a drink from the stream, and she asked him the same question. Where was he headed? And he replied, much in the same way, where people are kind. Again, the woman asked, "What were the people like in your last village?" The traveler smiled. He said they were generous. "We looked after one another. I will miss them dearly." So the old woman smiled and she said, "I believe you'll find the people here much the same." So after the man traveled on, the woman's grandson, who had been watching and listening very carefully to both of these conversations, asked her, "Grandmother, how could both answers be true?" She looked kindly at her grandson and she said, "Because wherever we go, we tend to meet ourselves." That little story contains a profound spiritual truth. Life is not something that merely happens around us. Life is being interpreted within us all the time. Each one of us carries our own invisible lens through which we see the world. Our individual lenses are colored by our beliefs, our memories, those deeply rooted messages from our family of origin. These lenses are colored by our experiences, our expectations, our disappointments, and our hopes. Most of the time, we are not reacting to life itself. We're reacting to the meaning that we have assigned to it. So in our last session, we explored the first of the 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word. And our reflection today is inspired by the second of the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take anything personally. Now, at first glance, those words can sound almost impossible. How can we not take things personally? How can we not take criticism personally? How can we not feel hurt when someone rejects us or misunderstands us, ignores us, or speaks unkindly to or about us? We're human beings with hearts that feel deeply. It is so easy for us to feel wounded by life, by the experiences that do not meet our expectations, or by surprises that disappoint us. Yet, the second agreement is not asking us to become emotionally numb. It's not asking us to stop caring. It is inviting us to see life through a higher perspective, through a greater awareness. Now, unity teaches that our true identity is spiritual. That's the unity principle number 2. Our very essence is the essence of God, which is true for every other person. We are all inherently good. We each carry a pure heart, as the Buddhists would say. Beneath every label, every role, every success, every disappointment, there is the divine presence expressing itself as and through each one of us. And that divine presence cannot be diminished by another person's opinion. It cannot be wounded by criticism, nor can it be made greater by praise. It is the personality that is easily bruised. In unity teachings, the personality is defined as that mortal, ever-changing persona, or the sum total of our human characteristics, habits, and opinions. It's not bad. It's not the enemy or something to be overcome. It is simply to be recognized so that we can move from our personality to within, to the divine spirit, move to a higher perspective. Spirit is never wounded. Our spiritual nature simply is. The challenge is that we often forget. Instead of living from the divine center, we might be living from and through our personality. Now, the personality constantly seeks approval, validation, recognition, and acceptance. It wants everyone to agree with it. It wants everyone to understand it. It wants to be appreciated, acknowledged. The personality is constantly asking, what do people think of me? Spirit is quietly and consistently whispering, remember who you are. Much of our suffering begins when we confuse those two voices. I remember as a young person, and later as an adult, only hearing one voice. I had not yet learned to listen for spirit. Now, there were occasions when the presence of the divine was so strong that it brought me to tears, and I felt incredibly connected to what I called God. And when it quieted, I thought it had left me. I hadn't learned that that was simply not possible, that the essence of the divine had always been and would always be right where I was. I didn't learn that until I found unity. I therefore suffered as all teenagers seem to suffer, in angst, in woundedness, in drama. And my teenage years were in reality quite free from any true tragedy. Unity teaches us that every person is expressing from their current level of awareness, every person. So I was not wrong in my angst. I was unaware of the divine within me. And that is true for so many people. That is why our vision, our unity vision, is such a deep part of who we are. We see humanity awake to its divinity, to see and feel their divine essence, to be blessed as each one of us have been blessed when we found unity, or perhaps we found it within ourselves before that. People respond to life according to their experiences and their consciousness. When someone is angry, fearful, jealous, or judgmental, their behavior reveals their inner state, much more than it reveals anything about us on the receiving end of their words or their actions. And when we truly understand this, when we accept that their behavior is about something going on in their life, not ours, we can choose to come from our deep well of compassion. Instead of reacting defensively, we can respond with love, with wisdom. Gently honoring whatever is happening in their life without the need to know what it is. Now, there's a member of this community, actually, he's serving on the platform today, Aaron. When dealing with someone who's giving him a hard time, he stops and he changes that thinking. He says to himself, this person's not giving me a hard time. They are having a hard time. They're having a hard time. He removes himself, and rightly so, from the equation. And that changes everything. Many of us have taught our children to ride a two-wheel bicycle. When I remember my oldest daughter learning to ride, I can envision my son, who is 2 years older than her, running with her and holding the back of the seat and encouraging her. You may have a similar vision of your own children or nieces or nephews, or perhaps when you learned to ride the bike. My son held on to the back of the bike until he couldn't keep up. Then he had to let go. And my daughter pedaled several more yards, doing really well, before she realized she was on her own. The moment she looked back instead of forward, she lost her balance and she tumbled into the grass. She wasn't hurt, but she was surprised. We have all had to learn this lesson for ourselves. The bicycle goes where our eyes are looking. And isn't that true for life? Our lives move in the direction of our eyes, in the direction of our heart and our mind. If we spend our days looking backward at every criticism, every disappointment, every unkind remark, we eventually lose our balance. We look back for justification, for proof that we are unworthy, that life is unfair. And when finding that thing we call proof, we cling to it again and again, remaining in the past. Spirit continually invites us to look forward, to look inward, to remember that our peace does not depend upon another person's opinion or behavior. One of the greatest burdens people carry is the belief that everyone else's behavior is somehow about them, if not directed at them, at least affecting them. Our peace does not depend on how many texts or phone calls we received today, or if people remembered our birthday. Our peace does not depend on anything externally, not an outside conflict, not if there is a natural disaster, not on who is sitting in the White House. Our peace is internal and within our ability to maintain, should we choose to do so. Susan shared with us this morning, the peace of my soul brings peace to the world. So someone walks past us without speaking and we think they're upset with me. A text goes unanswered and we immediately jump to, I must have done something wrong. A coworker seems distant. The first assumption, I wonder what I did. Then hurt might turn into anger. Sometimes those stories are true. Most of the time, they are not. All they've done is disturb our peace because we made up the story. It's as if we retain the perspective of a child who thinks they are the center of the world, so everything must be about them. The truth is that every person is living inside a world we cannot fully see, nor is it our business to see. They might be worrying about a medical diagnosis or grieving a parent or friend. They might be anxious about finances, or perhaps they haven't slept well in days. Someone might be silently fighting depression. When we speak impatiently or fail to notice what is happening to them, we assume that this is all related, that they are responding to something we did, and we are now responding to how they're behaving, and it all falls apart because we are not the cause. We assume we are. We are often simply standing near someone carrying an invisible burden. And when we realize this, when we become aware, Compassion naturally replaces judgment. It replaces hurt, replaces anger. And the remarkable thing about compassion is that it really blesses both people. It blesses the one who's hurting, and it blesses the one who refused to become offended, the one who has stepped outside of their ego to see the higher perspective. There's another story I've always loved because it illustrates part of our human nature. A man's crossing a river in a small wooden boat. Another boat drifted downstream and bumped into his own. If he believed the boat was empty, he simply pushed it away and continued rowing, no harm, no foul. But suppose he imagined someone was inside steering carelessly. Then he might be irritated. There's a judgment there. He'd even become angry. It's the same bump. It's the same river. The difference was not the event itself. The difference was the story he created, the importance that he gave to it. How often do we create stories? Someone seems distant. Someone doesn't return our smile. Someone criticizes our work. Before long, we have built an entire story, an entire novel around one brief moment. Spirit is content to remain faithful witness. Spirit is content to remain a faithful witness without the need for affirmation or approval. If I believe the world is against me, I will find evidence everywhere. If I believe I am held in divine love, I will begin seeing that evidence everywhere. The outer world reflects the inner conversation. When we stop taking everything personally, something beautiful happens. We become available to life. Our energy changes remarkably. We begin responding to life instead of reacting. We begin understanding the bigger picture instead of having the need to defend ourselves and using our energy towards that. We begin listening instead of looking for proof to support the story that we already made up. This is a spiritual maturity as we develop a richer spiritual resilience. Our roots are in God. Our roots are in God. They are not in public opinion or social media or in applause. Our roots are most definitely not in criticism. The world will always have its opinions. Some will praise you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will celebrate you. Some will judge you most harshly. If your identity rises and falls with every opinion, life becomes an exhausting ride on erratic waves. But when your identity is anchored in divine presence, neither praise nor criticism changes who you are. Your spiritual nature remains untouched by temporary appearances. There's a beautiful phrase often attributed to ancient wisdom. No one can insult your soul. No one can insult your soul. Think about that. Your personality may be offended. Your ego may feel slighted. Your emotions may feel bruised, but your soul remains exactly as created, whole, radiant, loved, complete. Nothing another person says can diminish the divine life expressing as you. And that realization changes us. It lessens or removes completely our need to defend ourselves. This week, perhaps even today, someone may disappoint you. Someone may misunderstand you. Someone may overlook your efforts. But before your mind begins writing a familiar story, take one slow breath. Remember the old woman beside the stream. Wherever we go, We tend to meet ourselves. Remember a child learning to ride a bike. Your life moves where your attention goes. Remember the man in the boat. Same bump, same river, choosing to be offended or not. Choose instead to place your attention on the presence within, rather on the opinion of someone else. Jesus consistently demonstrated inner authority. He was praised by some, he was criticized by many others. He remained grounded in his relationship with God. Unity encourages each one of us to cultivate that same spiritual grounded center. Our worth comes from the divine identity that we are, not public opinion. This week, whenever you find yourself upset by another person's behavior, I invite you to stop, to pause for a moment, and to state this affirmation. I believe Finn has a slide for us. I am secure in divine love. I choose understanding over reaction. Repeat that with me. I am secure in divine love. I choose understanding over reaction. You are the essence of divine love. And so it is.